Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town of Douglas Conservation Commission meeting for March 1st, 2021. First item on the agenda will be our meeting minutes. I was not at the last meeting, so did we?
We did.
What do we have? Okay, so we're all set with the meeting
We're
minutes.
all set. But your topic is valid in that we haven't gotten new ones in quite some time.
Yep, so I can give it, I mean, those are going to be standard items on the discussion. I'll just leave them there. So there
That's
was,
fine.
I know Art had a
Becky,
question.
did you want to do a roll call?
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Art.
Yep.
Okay.
7:03
7:03 and Art,
here.
Katie Grace,
Here.
Eric,
Here.
Mark,
Here.
Mike,
Here.
and Tracy. Thank you, Art.
So an update on the meeting minutes. So they did, I believe they hired a meeting minute taker last week. So she's slowly be working her way through all their boards, and hopefully we'll be getting some meeting minutes, relatively soon.
Yeah, this will be 5 meetings with no minutes.
So can we put a request to prioritize ours? Steve?
I'll reach out to Suzanne, sure.
Just at least catch us up for like the latest 2 or something.
Okay,
Okay, thank you. Anything in the mail?
nothing, no mail.
Okay, orders to be signed, I've circulated those, so if you want to take a moment sometime to check your email, I did get a couple back. Thank you, who signed them. So we're just waiting for majority of the board to sign, or the 4 to sign. Steve, do you have anything else?
I'll probably, the weather's, with the way the weather's gonna warm up this weekend, I'll probably be able to go out to 66 Cedar Street for the next meeting.
Okay, all right, so we've been in communication with the owner.
He left a couple of messages, but he's one of those numbers where you call it back and it's just not ringing, so I'll go out there this weekend and knock on their door or try to contact them one way or another.
Okay, great.
He did give permission to go on site.
Yep. Yeah, I was there for that, I believe. Yeah, we just want to make sure. Okay, anything else, Steve?
That's it.
Okay. So I will move to new business, which is a public hearing for the Cedar Street and Webster Street Bridge Replacement Project. Town of Douglas Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on 3/1/2021 at 7 p.m. for a notice of intent filed by the Douglas Board of Selectmen located at Cedar Street, Webster Street for work to be done pursuant to the Town of Douglas Wetland Bylaw and the Wetland Protection Act, Mass General Law 131, Section 40. The proposed work involves the replacement of an existing wood bridge with 4-sided concrete box culvert on Cedar Street over the Bad Luck Pond outlet adjacent to number 155 Webster Street with associated safety rails and 2 12-foot wide paved travel ways. Public participation will be via virtual means only pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Douglas Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation. The public may participate in this meeting via remote participation. A website for the meeting will be provided on the conservation agenda, posted on the town's website at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. And copies of the NOI may be examined electronically by contacting the Conservation Commission at 508-476-4000, extension 205, February 15th. Okay. So, Steve, would you like to start or would you like the applicant to start?
Why don't we get the applicant to start?
Okay. And who is presenting? Name and address, please.
It's Jim Noyes. I'm with Green and Peterson, 181 Ballardvale Street in Wilmington. With me tonight, I have Kim Armstrong, who's the structural engineer on the project from GPI, and also Ken Motta from Field Engineering, who's our environmental consultant. Just a brief overview. I'm sure everybody's familiar with the wood bridge. That was a temporary structure that was installed in 2011 to replace the old bridge, which was a wood bridge on a steel superstructure. That was always meant for a temporary bridge, but as usual, temporary always means 10 years or more when it comes to that type of project. So a couple of years ago, Massachusetts started a small bridge program, and the town was awarded a grant in the amount of $500,000 in 2019. So that's where we're starting. The current bridge right now is only 17 feet wide, and our current design is calling for a 24-foot wide structure. It's going to be a four-sided box culvert. So 24 feet wide. We did actually look at something wider to allow for better pedestrian access, but the environmental impacts, going beyond 24 feet are quite significant. So 24 feet's a lot better right now than the 17 feet that's out there in terms of both traffic and at least pedestrians walking across the bridge. Car will be able to get around them and give them some room getting over there. We are also widening the roadway a little bit down towards Webster Street, though. We're actually closing off one of the radii. As you're taking a right turn from Webster down to Cedar Street, you can do that at a good speed. So we're cutting back a lot on that radius, which is actually pretty much turning the existing pavement out there back to loam and seed that area at the bottom. And then towards the top too, we're doing a little bit of widening. As if you're familiar with that, especially if you're coming southbound, you're almost on the blind curve, both vertical and horizontal. So we're doing a little bit of widening there. I guess there's been a few accidents, and I want to say the town administrator either got into an accident there or was pretty close to doing it. So he was advocating to widen out that corner a little bit. We did as much as possible. We can't do much. We wanted to keep the alignment of the bridge itself. And if you notice, and Kim will get into it and Ken a little bit more, we widened from the widening. We're holding the east side of the bridge where it presently is. We didn't want to impact any of the property associated with the old mill. Plus, as you get into that area, we're dealing with some old retaining walls going into the raceway down to the mill and also to the dam on that side. So all of our widening is actually along the west side of the roadway. Town meeting voted, there were some takings involved and some permanent and temporary easements, and town meeting voted on that a few weeks ago. And actually all the layouts were recorded just last week at the Registry of Deeds. I want to turn it over a little bit to Kim Armstrong. Oh, before I forget to, Tracy, you were talking about, we do have copies of Mcguire's original design for the 2011 bridge. I don't know if that helps. We don't have any as-bills, but we have the original.
Okay, could you just forward those to Steve?
Yeah.
And he'll just pop them in our Google Drive.
Sure. Ready, Kim?
So Kim, do you want to show plans at all? Cable can give you sharing, share screen ability.
If I could, that would actually be awesome. I have them pulled up, so they're ready to go.
You should be all set.
All right. Okay, so can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Should be a plan view. Oops. So this is basically what we're putting back for an elevation view of the bridge. So it's a four-sided box. The reason we actually did that is because it's scour stable. And according to our geotechnical investigation, the bedrock's actually pretty high. So we can pin it into bedrock and cut off scour on both sides. So like for future maintenance, there should be none associated with this one. We're also coming back in with retaining walls, mainly just so we can put the highway guardrail transition. I'm sorry, the highway guardrail itself on top of the rails just to help protect the roadway. We did what we could to minimize impacts. Trying to get a plan. There is some stone that's going in on the openings, really just to kind of help armor the approaches to it and to help protect those retaining walls. And then we have, this is where we're anticipating the water control actually be installed. And then they're going to use a bypass pipe in order to have temporary water flow through here. That's what this is right here. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but I guess I don't know what you want to know, but I can keep going if there's any questions or.
No, I think that if you just kind of focus in on the impacts, the increase in impacts, the percentages, if you want to just give us a general overview on the expansion of versus the existing versus your expansion into the resource areas.
Okay, Kenny, I think that you're actually probably better at that. I can pull up the, or if you want a screen share, that's fine too. If you're trying to talk, you're still muted.
Yeah, okay. Do you have access to the three wetland sheets, Kim?
I do. Give me 2 seconds.
Why don't we pull up the first one that has the multiple resource areas there?
Sorry, my computer's running a little slow.
It's okay.
I do have one question about the kind of box tubing shape on the bridge, because I honestly haven't been down there to look at the existing, I guess, steel box that's there. Is this cement box larger than the steel box that was there?
It's hydraulically the exact same. So what we
Okay.
actually tried to do is replicate so that the problem is if we change anything, we change the FEMA maps. So if we make it bigger, we flood downstream more. And if we make it smaller, we flood upstream more. So we try really hard to keep it hydraulically the exact same for the base flood elevations.
Okay, so that was going to be my follow-up question. Is the bottom elevation roughly the same?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. We're actually armoring. We're putting the slab on the bottom, and then we're actually coming back in with like a riprap and natural stream bed. So we're using the larger stones to help hold the natural stream bed material in so it doesn't wash out as much. This culvert's actually a little bit unique though, because it's the first one I've ever dealt with where the soil was higher downstream than it was upstream because the dam backwaters it.
Oh, that's weird. I didn't realize that. Yeah, I was just thinking from a stream continuity perspective, but if it's unchanged from what was previous there for the last 20-something years, then I'm sure it will be the time.
We are removing the hump. But,
the hump. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Can you
So
explain
Ken, is this what you wanted?
the bottom treatment again? You said it's a four-sided culvert, so it has a concrete smooth bottom, or
It does, but then we didn't want to have the smooth bottom because environmentally that's not
right?
what we'd prefer to do. So we actually came back in with larger stones, and then we use the natural stream bed material on top of that. But we use the larger stone because it helps hold the material in. And if there is some type of scour event, what happens is over time, the silt will actually settle back into the stones. So we found if you include both, it actually ends up with a more robust solution typically.
Okay, so explain this to me again. So you put the bottom of the culvert at a lower elevation than what the stream bed is going to be, and then you put material back on top
Correct.
of the bottom? And how does that stay in place?
The material itself is actually the flows that you have right here, the velocities, we size the stone so that it won't move. So the
Okay.
stone is always sized to be bigger, but then we try to use the natural stream bed material and put that back in. So that potentially could wash out. But over time, when the flows slow back down, a lot of times it settles back out again.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
But you
Yeah, just
use
to
that base
point-
gravel, Kim, don't you use that base gravel as kind of like an anchor to the stream bed material that's over the top?
Right.
Name
That's what we
of
try to
the-
do both.
Yeah, pretty much what we did on a few other projects down here in Mattapoisett.
And that was Ken speaking. We have a new minute taker, so
Oh.
you just have to, when you switch around, they won't know your voice.
Okay,
So
My apologies.
Steve Zisk here. So yeah, I mean, I think because you're trying to meet the substrate of the stream bed for this for the stream stream guidelines, but it's probably unique because downstream is such a drop in elevation when you get through the structures or downstream that I don't know. You don't anticipate any fish or cold water fish, fish migrating through this area?
We don't, because there's a dam just downstream.
Right. And wildlife either.
The problem with meeting the stream crossing standards is because of the wetland that you have, we probably would have ended up with about a 70-foot span.
Right.
And because of the impacts that we would have actually had with flooding out downstream, as well as the impacts to the dam immediately downstream, it was actually decided not to go that path.
Right.
So we were unable actually really to change it much to meet those requirements.
Where is the dam on the plan? This is Mark.
Come on. Right here. There's a dam, and then over on this side, there's another sluiceway.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell, but there's like an existing, like retaining walls, I guess I'll call them, running
And
around.
there's a pool area, isn't there? Like a little pond impoundment? Is that right there?
Here. Yep.
And none of
And then
that
on
is
the
going to
upstream's a
be
road.
impacted.
We actually held this side on purpose so that we weren't impacting this pool or the dam structures. So when we widened, we actually came towards the wetland section, staying out of the wetlands areas, but encroaching on it more.
So you're 8 feet or more closer on the upstream side.
Correct.
Thanks.
No problem.
Okay, board, I'm just gonna go down the line for right at this moment. Art, do you have anything?
Not right now.
Okay. Katie Grace? Muted?
Um,
Art, yeah?
okay, yeah, I'm looking at the work around the edge. So I see there's a 20 square foot impact, the BVW. Is that just on that side, or is that the whole project?
Actually, don't
Looks
we
like
have a
each one
chart?
of them is associated with a certain, it looks like each one of these kind of outriggings of the structure has a BVW impact of various numbers of square feet. It looked like they're quantified there.
Yeah.
Right, wherever the arrow points to is where that specific impact is.
Okay, so these are, it's not just, the project isn't just the bridge, it's whatever needs to be added to reinforce that kind of chunk of road.
Correct. This section here is for our utility pole.
So is this more like a retaining wall structure, or is this going to be an incredibly steep slope?
There's going to be retaining walls on the sides of it in order to minimize the slopes.
Okay.
And you can see the total impact area on the left side underneath the
thank
little
you.
legend. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, I mean, I have I'm sorry I didn't review this before. I'm sure a lot of our questions can be answered on the prints, but.
No, it's no problem.
Okay. Okay, so there's no riprap in this project at all. It's either just retaining wall and the impact has just been done whatever you needed to do to reduce the impact because you're just surrounded by wetlands.
Right. There is some riprap as far as going through the stream at the openings.
In the
we
water.
are armoring right inside at the opening of it, but we are covering it with natural stream bed material.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, I think that answers all of my questions. Appreciate it.
Eric?
Yeah, does this culvert design allow for any terrestrial passage or?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
The existing doesn't either. And again, to get back into the flowing, the floods, if we impact the FEMA flood, it was significant impacts to everything. So we were unable to accommodate that.
Okay.
Eric, to be said, I've definitely seen turtles and wildlife tend to cross this area on top of the road rather than under the bridge for whatever reason that turtle chose. But historically, they've had to cross over road in the past as well.
Okay.
Mike,
I'm okay.
maybe we could do like a turtle crossing sign.
I don't know. The one turtle I've seen crossing was a giant snapping turtle, and the traffic stopped for him.
Okay, all right. Big enough.
I don't know. I don't see any more wildlife incidents here than I do anywhere else on Route 16. People tend to slow down.
Okay. And Mark?
Well, there was another consultant that was going to speak when we started asking questions. I'd like to hear from him if he could.
And then I just have one question about the culvert that is on Webster Street. It clogs up all the time. Did you look into any solutions for that?
It was beyond the scope of what we were doing, but we actually did coordinate with the town engineer at the time for some inspection stuff and recommended cleaning of the trash rack, but.
Okay. Yeah, because it's been an ongoing issue. And while we're in this area, I don't know if there was any, uncovering of any solutions that we could use.
We didn't really get into it. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, I think I know I went out there last August and noticed the same thing and told John Furno about it. And I guess John does regular maintenance on it, trying to keep that clean. But trying to think off the top of my head, there's some sort of trash rack or post there or something like that that catches everything before it gets down into the Bad Luck Pond outlet. But I guess that's a continuous maintenance issue for John.
Okay. And your name and address, please.
It's Jim Noyes from GPI.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, while we're here in this area, it's like years of an issue. So, okay. All right. And to Mark's question, Mark, what did you need further explaining, or you just want the presentation that he was going to do?
I wanted to see the presentation that showed where the impacts were and what level of impact there was planned.
Okay. Who would like to go over that?
Okay. Ken Motta from Field Engineering, 11D Industrial Drive, Mattapoisett, Mass. I can begin by talking about the multiple resource areas that we do have out there. But I do want to point out that this is, GPI and Field Engineering has teamed up on a number of very similar projects like this of this magnitude. We have one that was constructed 3 years ago over here in Mattapoisett, and it was actually a larger cross section than what you're looking at here. But again, from an environmental perspective, it involved a lot of work with the within these resource areas. We currently have another one in town that we're partnering on. It's another similar project here. So we're intimately familiar with the minimization of these various resource areas, particularly with respect to the thresholds of the Wetlands Protection Act. So I'm going to have Kim go to that first plan that we started on here that really showed the color of the different resource areas here. I mean, starting with the culvert itself, I mean, you have a bank area that's associated with that. That's identified by mean high water flags 1 through I think it's like 1 through 10. And then we have the bank area associated with the surveyed high water mark of the Bad Luck Pond, which was done in October of 2019. Associated with that bank area, we also have BVW areas, which are defined by the wet flags A1 through A9. And then overlaying that, obviously we are within a map FEMA flood zone there, and we also have riverfront area that's associated with with the bank areas. And we also have a natural heritage overlay that's over the pond area on the westerly side, which I believe you should have in your files. We have the sign off from the Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program for that part, for the you know, the portion of the work that's within that resource area. Hello, Steve,
Yeah,
or anybody? Steve, did you get the correspondence from the from Natural Heritage
we
on
did,
that?
and I believe I forwarded that on to all the members.
Oh, okay. So I think I think the only thing we're really
Yeah,
waiting on right now is comments from the DEP and the issuance of the file number.
Yeah, there's no.
But if we could go
Yeah,
to,
Yeah, I
what's
think
that?
the National Heritage basically said that there was no take on the, in their letter.
Yeah. And that's typically the position that they took on the projects down here as well. They kind of see that there's unavoidable, temporary, temporary impacts associated with the construction activities that you need to get these, the various components of the culvert in, we try to minimize to the extent practicable the permanent alterations. So if we could go to the next sheet, the wetland impact plan. There we go. So what we've done and try to keep it in like simplest terms here is we have, let's start with the BBW, because the BBW is really associated with the widening of the roadway. That's a requirement of Mass DOT under the Chapter 85 review. So what you see, this stippled area here is basically the area of BBW that it's unavoidable. We're going to have a permanent impact of that area of 486 square feet. Now we intentionally kept that under the 500 square foot threshold, which under CMR 1055 does allow the commission at their discretion to permit the alteration of up to like 500 square feet of wetland without having to do replication. And when I look at this area, and we've had the situation on similar projects where sometimes clearing trees to plant trees or to plant vegetation just doesn't seem to make much sense. You've got a sustainable wetland system that's around that pond, and to go in there and actually alter the buffer zone and regrade and everything to create a wetland replication for an area that we've kept under the threshold within permissible limits here. It just didn't make too much sense. But I'll defer to the commission's judgment on this after you've seen the site and actually taken a look at the conditions that are out there. Are there any questions on that portion of it? Because we have a number of different resource areas that we have to address kind of like one by one here. So maybe I'll go through each one and then just stop and then address any questions you may have on that particular area, and how we can we fit the compliance matrix with the Wetlands Protection Act. It's up to you, Tracy, how you want to handle it.
Yeah, I just double checked. I believe the threshold's 300 square feet for BBW without replication. And also your NOI, which I haven't really seen this, is claiming replacement of the temporary disturbed areas. So
Correct.
I haven't seen that before. So I'm just curious, because you're technically not replacing anything, you're just not keeping it as altered at that point. So you're not really, it's kind of like the temporary is really not counted, and then you don't have any proposed replacement because it's a temporary it's a temporary situation until it's stabilized, or the work is.
Yeah, the temporary,
So you can't really.
the temporary areas, oh, go ahead.
I
The
don't think,
temporary areas are basically BVW areas that are within the work zone that we're not taking, we're clearing vegetation, but we're leaving the shrub layer there. And there's no placement of fill or anything like that within those areas. It's just that, you're going to have foot traffic of people, people working that area and such. And then once the work is completed, then we basically we rake out whatever whatever dead or slag material is there, and supplement that with with either a wetland seed mix or a plantable burrow and everything, and just allow that area to basically to come back.
right, I understand that part, but you're claiming that there's
Okay.
replacement, so you're not actually, it would be, if you had the total number and then you were replacing it with that temporary disturbance number, you're still not, it's the way that the NOI was filled out, size of proposed alterations. So I'm just curious about that, because it appears as though you're proposing a replacement of the temporarily disturbed resource areas, which is not, you're not going above and beyond.
Yeah, I mean that's typically how we've done it before. On past projects where I agree. I know what you're saying about we're not providing a replacement of the temporary impact areas.
Correct.
So I don't do you want me to amend the form?
It's a point, it's a talking point. It's, as far as DEP is concerned, as long as your, order of conditions that we issue you reflects the actual permanently altered, and if you're proposing any replacement, we know that you are, allowing those areas to return back as they were undisturbed.
Right.
So when we draft up our order, it's not going to give you're proposing right now, it's not giving you any replacement. And that's probably what DEP is going to say also.
Yeah, okay.
That's all I'm saying when,
Yeah.
you're working with that.
Well, we're in the southeast region over here, so I'm very curious to see what they do. What they do come back with up here. We don't venture up this end of the state very often.
Yeah,
so.
I can't give you any credit though. That's all I'm saying. Oh, it is.
Okay. Yeah. No, I agree. I hear what you're saying. It can be ambiguous.
Yeah, and it is 500 square feet. So that's issuing authority may issue an order of conditions per permitting work which results in the loss of a portion of BVW less than 500 square feet. Yeah. When it's less than 500 and the said portion extends in a distinct linear configuration, finger-like into adjacent uplands. So there is a 1, 2, and a 3 on that. So 1055. So you have to meet all 3 of those without replication. 1055 4. So, okay. Board, anybody else?
I don't have it in front of me.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
It was 500. I stand corrected on that.
Yeah.
So, board, anybody at this moment have any questions or comments? You can chime right in.
Do we get to go for a site walk?
Yeah, I don't believe they have a DEP number. So yeah, I mean.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can. We've got all the plans. there's no revisions really needed. I did see that there was a response to Steve's comments. Steve, you're satisfied with all of your questions being answered at this moment?
Well, for me, the biggest issue is going to be time of year, construction protocols, duration of project, and how they're going to divert the flow and other mitigating measures during construction.
Okay.
I don't know if they want to.
They did answer the time of year. They have a construction sequence, right?
What is the time of year? I saw
Was it
something
June
about low flow, but,
It's restricted to after June 1st.
and then how long will it take though?
2 to 3 months. Unfortunately, that one's hard for us to predict because it depends on how motivated the contractor is. We've had them get out of these jobs in 30 days and then other ones drag on for a year. So it's a little hard to estimate, but
Sure. Is. All right.
Just, this is Jim Noyes from GPI again. Just to add on to that, we do have a contractor chosen for the project, New England Building and Bridge. I have been in contact with them. I mean, they just came on board. They haven't signed the contract yet, so they're not getting too far down the line. But I did send them the construction sequence the other day to make sure that they were on board with that or if they had any suggested changes. I could also talk to them. They know about the June 1st start date, and it'll probably take them at least 2 or 3 weeks before they actually get out into the water anyway. So you're probably looking at mid to late June in those flow conditions. But that was part of their contract too, that no work starts before June 1st, which
Is the
you know,
culvert replacement the first thing you're going to do or the last thing?
This is Kim Armstrong from GPI. Typically the culvert is really quick at the beginning. They install the culvert, they'll install, remove demolition of everything. They install the water control, they demo everything, come back in, install the culverts typically, and then build the retaining walls after that. So the main work in the water is obviously the culvert stage, but after that, sometimes they'll actually put the material in it and use temporary training walls to redirect the flow back into the culvert.
So are you, if, you know, there's never no flow, I mean, maybe on a drought, but that, you know, maybe last August when we had a little mini drought, there might've been a little bit, you know, minimized flow, but so are you diverting the water? Are you pumping it around?
Yeah,
Or?
there's a pipe. She showed us.
We require a bypass pipe.
Right.
Yeah, I guess it's hard to see, but if you can see where my mouse is, this is the pipe.
So you're gonna install that first?
They typically install the water control first, yes.
Right.
Because they can't demo this area. They really can't access it until after they've redirected the flow. So they'll stop the water at the top or upstream and then stop it downstream and then just have the pipe flow through. And we did actually on this one push the pipe out a little bit more so that they have enough room to install the wing walls before they open up the culvert. But we have actually been involved on other jobs where they've decided to change the water control and run it into the culvert structure and then use the culvert for while they build the walls.
Is it one piece?
No, they have to ship them. And I think this one, the biggest we could get was 5-foot sections based on shipping weight and crane pick weights. Typically it's 6 sections is what a lot of these roads end up being. Although this one's 24 feet, so it might actually only be 4, but.
Okay, great.
Quick question, because this is a large file. Do you have flow rates in this plan somewhere?
They're in the hydraulic report. I don't think we have the flow. Actually, no, we do have the, on the next page after this one, we have notes and that has the flows, the hydraulic design data.
Oh, sweet. Thank you.
No problem. It's page 12, if that helps you.
That does help me. Thank you.
Okay, board.
Is there going to be any impact on any trees that with this project?
Kenny?
Yeah, Kim, it's Jim Noyes. Can you go to let me pull up that plan. I think it's sheet 5 on our plans.
Construction plan.
Yeah. And there's a cluster of 2 to 3 trees down towards,
Right here.
those are being retained right there. There was a cluster retain trees. Thought there were, I'll go a little bit higher up. There they are, remove trees. There's 4 or 5 trees right, pretty much as you're coming south right before the bridge. I'm trying to orient so you'd have an idea where it might be, but it's right beyond. There's a little wall on that Bacon property. I mean, if anybody's familiar with that area, but there's 4 or 5 trees there that need to come out. A little bit of clearing and grubbing in there.
Okay, Art, are you good for now?
Well, I see the 5 trees that you're talking about. Are you going to replace them after the project's completed?
I mean, it's something that can be considered. We hadn't considered it. But yeah, I mean, it's something that can be considered.
They shouldn't be anywhere near the bridge though, for the replacement.
Otherwise, we'll be back in a few years.
Yeah. So alternative, I mean, where would you want to see them plant the trees that would have the same equal benefit that those trees are giving right now?
I'm going to take a walk.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's no DEP number issued. Also, DEP does have those proposed alterations and replacement like you had submitted. So I would just get an answer before March 15th on what their opinion is on that. Because it does look like you're altering and then you're replacing the same.
Mhm.
So if you could just double check with them because it is on the DEP website. Thank you.
And Tracy, can we just ask the applicants to submit the green cards, if they can scan them and send them to me with the butters list?
Yeah, applicant, send those over. I thought that was on the checklist, that it was done. The NOI checklist.
Yeah, they sent the butters list. I didn't get the green cards back. I don't know where they are.
Okay. Yeah, I have them here.
Yeah, could you
That's
just
not a
scan
problem.
them and email them?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, will do.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
it says the first one, green card submitted, X. Okay. All right, good. Anyone else on the board have any questions for now?
What is the retaining wall?
Oh, no, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. What is the retaining wall built of?
Cement, concrete, reinforced concrete. The problem is we couldn't really do any type of stone wall because we actually have the guardrail anchored to it. So because of that, it needed to be rigid enough that someone hits it, it doesn't fall apart. So that pushed us into having to do a concrete solution.
Oh.
Does it have any kind of an aesthetic finish on it or pattern on it on the outside?
It does not. We could add a form liner if that's something that matters, but initially when we had scoped it, the town wasn't really interested in aesthetic solutions.
It is under budget though, right? At this moment.
Yeah, as soon as you give a contractor an extra, it goes really quick.
Mark, have you been here?
Yeah, I know it pretty well.
Okay. I'm just saying you can't see the side of a retaining wall from anywhere.
As you're driving down Route 16 coming towards town, you can see across the pond and see that bridge, I think.
I'll look for it next time.
Probably not in the summer, but I think you can this time of year.
Yeah, probably at this time of year.
And is there a retaining wall on the other side?
Yes, all 4 corners required a retaining wall. Some of them are shorter than others.
Sure.
I can go back to my plan, it shows it better. This is the foundation plan just because it kind of shows it a little easier, but all four corners have a wall.
I mean, it's such a historic area. Town may not care about aesthetics, but I kind of do.
Is there any option to do like a vegetated finish on that? Have you done
On
that
the
with?
wall face, no. And
Yeah.
we try really hard not to put plants on the walls just to try to help them last a little longer, but
Right. I'm just throwing it out there.
yeah. Again, we could ask the contractor on a form liner and see if that changes anything, but I don't want to tell you yes, we can, because that'd be something the town would have to make the decision on.
Right. Yep. I mean, I think it is what it is. It's number one, safety. So, I'm just throwing it out there. Okay. Anyone else on the board?
And just one other point I just wanted to kind of make, you can see on these that there's very minimal areas that will actually be exposed. See, this is the grade line.
Yep.
So all you're going to see of the wall that we could actually put a form liner on is this little piece here and then these pieces here.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Yeah, that's not much.
We tried really to minimize the impacts as much as we could. The walls look a lot bigger than they are, but it's really just because we needed to get the anchorage and we were trying to catch the bedrock.
Mm-hmm.
And then make sure we could make the
Some
grades
really
work.
tall
That's how the lengths were
cattails
determined.
Grow like right there.
Sorry, heard someone talking, but I couldn't hear what they said.
Katie Grace, repeat, please.
What?
What did you just say?
Oh, I was saying if you could get some really tall cattails to grow right there.
Ay. Okay.
I'm just-
Okay. Eric, anything?
No.
Mike, anything from you?
No.
Okay. All right. I think
I had a question about the sand hump.
the sand.
Yeah, so you said you were going to take out a sand hump.
Oh, the bump.
A sediment hump, I should say.
Sediment. It's sediment.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, one of these is going to have a cross section through.
I'm only curious if that is like a natural occurring sand hump or if that's related at all to kind of like the road sand that probably collects there.
We think it's actually based on sediment falling out because at the dam, it slows the water down so much that the sediment actually has enough time to fall out of the stream. And it just built up more of a section right at the opening of the dam.
Okay.
Kim, if you go to sheet 19 and the top cross section 1130, you can see that hump right there in the dashed.
And it's not a lot. We're only talking like, I guess it's a foot between the lowest point and the highest point, but.
I know, like you look at a lot of the culverts in town and like you can see there's a lot of road sand buildup in some areas. And I didn't know if that was occurring here. And if it was there a way that we were going to prevent that? I wondered if nothing else, having, you know, the cement structure as opposed to a wooden bridge would, you know, guide sediment potentially away from going into the stream bed.
The curbs will definitely help with that. And that's one of the reasons that we prefer to use curbs over bridges is really just to try to redirect the flow. So now it's actually, as you can see, there's like a little step here. So you'd have to have a pretty substantial flood before you'd actually go over the curb.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Are there drainage inlets on either on the four corners of the bridge or the entries into the bridge that will pick up the water and then put it where? In directly into the brook?
Jim, do you want to feel that?
We have right. It's the profiles are basically the same as it is now. The runoff right now goes out through just natural country drainage, and what we're putting in at the low point is a couple of stone swales and then just having it go out. But nothing is directly into the water itself. It'll go through the stone aprons and just migrate out to the water.
So there's a slope on the roadway from the bridge towards those outfalls. and then
Right,
it
yeah.
Drains off.
Yep.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
that's
This is
it.
the
That's
low point.
basically, yeah, that's what it's doing right now. We're
That
not
is.
changing anything.
Wait, the current roadway doesn't have curbs on it, does it?
No, and the only spot on this new, we'll just have curbing over the culvert, and then we'll transition back down on both sides. So as you're going down the road from Webster Street, you'll be going over. That'll all be double check the plan to make sure, but that'll all be just edge of pavement until you get to the bridge itself, and then you have that bridge curve.
The limits are, I don't know if you can see the mouse, but these two lines where the retaining walls end, basically after that, we can tie back in for the slopes for the posts for the railing. So we don't have to have the curb anymore. So there'll be a transition piece that comes off just past these limits of the walls. And then after that, it goes back to the country drainage type of. Trying to think if I can.
Yeah, I think the last thing we wanted to do is have it collect this in catch basins and then introduce a new point discharge. We'd rather keep it the way it is right now and just have them flow off the side of the road on both sides.
So that's the limit of our full height, which is 8-inch curb.
And what are you proposing for erosion control during construction on the old mill side of the construction area?
Oh, this is the curb transition. Just if that helps you out. After we finish on the bridge curb, we just do one piece, which is a 6-foot transition. So hay bales. And then this in here is the water control. Is that
That's in the water?
No, this is the water in the water itself. They're, I'm guessing, likely going to do sheet piling, but it is set up that they could do sandbags if they prefer to, depending on how much back or how much height they have on the how high the water is in comparison to this bottom.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so they may set the sandbags right in the water, right in the pond.
Correct. And usually it's not, we're not talking the little 1x1 sandbags you can pick up. These are ones that they usually pick up 3 feet by 3 feet, and they'll pick them up with an excavator and move them. So they're much more substantial than.
Okay. And just hay bales?
For erosion controls on the sides, yes.
Yeah, we actually call for compost filter tubes, which we worked on the North Street retaining wall a couple of years ago when that collapsed. And I believe at the time the commission wanted compost filter tubes. So I mean, we were just trying to replicate what the past experience was.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, board. I think they've done a great job with the presentation. I think we can do a site walk and be ready for the next meeting.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, Tracy, because I gave him a copy of my comment sheets too, and I had my comment sheet I was going over. I must have thought I had green cards from another file when I saw them. Do you guys know if all the butters were notified?
I have, Steve?
I'm sorry.
I have, let's see, I'm just trying to send you a photo shot of it. I have 5 of the green cards came back.
Do you know which ones didn't?
I'd have to look at the list, Steve. I don't have it within arm's length right now. I can send you that tomorrow.
Are you, why do you ask, Steve? Is there
Well,
issue with the certified abutters list or what?
We've had a little bit of history of some of the butters on this area, so not getting a certified, one of them to get the notification of the public hearing could be an issue down the road.
Everybody that was on the certified list that we got from the town was sent, was sent a certified mailing.
Did you get you got the white
Some of
cards
them
that
got
were
returned,
sent?
some of them I still have white slips from some of them.
Did you stamp those in at the office, the post office? Like, did you go and
I can
bring
get
them?
this, I mean, I could get this, I could get this back to tomorrow. We had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 10 abutters on this abutters list. Out of the 10, 5 returned green cards.
Can you read the 5?
I got one back from Joseph Quintal, Lisa Gabri, Natural Heritage, Mass DEP, and Lawrence Bacon.
Steve, is there an issue that you want to tell us about?
Yeah, I think it's I think it's important that you have you seen the signs that are out there regarding closing the bridge?
Yep.
Well, we want to make sure that the people who put those signs up are notified, or that you meet all the statutory requirements, that all their butters are properly notified of this public hearing. And that if you sent the green cards and they don't sign them and return them, whatever the proper steps are, so we properly meet the open meeting law and public hearing of the butters of this hearing, are all signed, sealed, and delivered, T's are crossed and I's are dotted, that there's no issue that an abutter can come in later on and say that they were not notified.
Okay, so
Well, it's pretty hard to do when I have the white slips in my hand of everybody that was on the certified list that we got from the assessors.
I just want, well, that's fine.
That was part of the end of the notice of intent package.
It's been a while, but whatever the proper procedure is, if they don't sign the green cards and you get the white slips, that we want to make sure that we're covered, that that's appropriate.
yes, and the certified abutters list is included in the NOI application. And
Yes.
Wetlands Protection Act only requires that the applicant send it, not that it gets back, so that they're notified that they sent it. And if you have the proof with the white slip stamped by the post office,
Exactly.
that's sufficient.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay.
But I think it's important that you have that record.
I have it all here, Steve. I will scan it and send it to you tomorrow. I have the white slips and the return greens cards. Anything else is beyond our control, you know? I mean, all we could do is notify these people. If
That's
they
okay.
if they choose not to return the green cards, you know, that's beyond our control.
Is there a time frame though that they have to have it before the actual meeting?
Just that it was sent.
Because there's been some, you know, issues. Bill was involved with it years past. The town was involved with it years past with some of the butters, specifically the ones that were.
It has been settled though
Right.
in the courts. So yeah, as long as we get the white receipt, and if not,
Yeah.
then you know we'll go from there. Just get that tomorrow.
I'll scan you everything I have and have it over to you tomorrow, Steve.
Yeah, that'd be great. And if you want to send the originals too by mail, that'd be great too.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Thank you both. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great.
All right, speaking of the public, anyone in the public have any questions or comments in regards to this filing? You may say your name and address and any questions that you have. Mike L? Bob, I'll get right to you. Okay, Mike L doesn't have anything. Bob, do you have something?
Yeah, Bob and Eric, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, Bob and Eric, 107 Cedar Street, will be directly affected by this project. I have to agree with Steve. I think we need to cross every T and dot every I as far as one problematic abutter. And I think everybody knows who that means. We've been in the court cases with him before, so I think Steve is bringing up a good point.
Thank you. Do you have any questions on that project?
I have no questions. I'm looking forward to it for completion.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone else. You will have an opportunity to ask more questions because we are going to continue this hearing to the 15th. If the board doesn't have anything else, you can go do a site walk at your leisure. And if you have any other questions, you can just email them to Steve before the next meeting. Once you take a look. Steve, how are
Tracy,
we
I've
looking
got-
for the, yep,
I've got one more comment, Bob and Eric.
yes,
Those cluster of 5 trees that will be removed, they've basically been debarked during the past few years by front end of vehicles.
Oh.
As that's where all the accidents occur.
okay,
As vehicles fail to negotiate that turning left at that point, they end up right in the face of those 5 trees.
okay. Thank you. So Mark, you could take a look at those trees when you go out there.
Yep.
Steve, how are we looking for March 15th?
Well, we have 1 through 6 is Joseph Road,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of a package. And then we would have Cedar Street. And then we have for old business, and then for new business, we have an RDA for Woodland Road. which
Okay.
would be-
Let's put this one on first for old business.
Okay,
I'll entertain a motion to continue.
So move.
Second,
Motion's made by Art, seconded by Mark.
yes.
Okay, roll call vote to continue.
Art Montverde, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Eric Harris, aye.
Mark Manjamai.
KG Dudley, aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we will see you on the 15th.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a good night.
Heidi.
Just for the timestamp, that that
Yeah.
discussion started at 7:05.
Okay, and ended at 8:05. Okay, board, we all set? Steve, you have anything else?
I'm good.
Okay. So board, I've circulated the Adobe sign, so if you could take a look at your email. Steve, did you put the revised plot plans in our Google Drive according to those? Because I didn't send those because I can't really send them easily.
You want to talk about 130 at all? Just how I went out to town council?
Yeah, so I think that there was a little bit of misunderstanding on what carries, what vote carries through
Right.
conservation versus planning board. So if you could, utilize the handbook, we don't really want to, ruin somebody's night over something that was incorrect. So we don't do super majorities. That's something for planning board. We do just majority, and then as far as signatures go, the person that's signing doesn't necessarily need to vote in the affirmative for that specific project. It's simply for signatures from board members. So it doesn't invalidate or lessen the negative vote or the no vote. It's just simply a process that needs to be done. It's not necessarily signifying for or against the project.
So that means, like last week, I didn't want to vote at all. I would have been able to say, yep, we're 3-1, we're good to go.
You could have abstained. You
Correct.
could have had to be in the vote because you were participating in the hearing. But you could have voted an abstention if you didn't feel comfortable making a decision, and it still would have passed.
I mean, I felt more comfortable with the no than with abstaining, but at
And
the
that's
same
your-
time, like, had I known it was gonna,
That's your prerogative. I rule where if it's a tie, I like to vote.
right,
Because I'm really supposed to be running the meeting. So I have to be focused on running the meeting. That's just how I like to do it. And if there's, not a controversy, then there's really no necessity for me to vote, as I'm paying attention to the, the information and making sure you guys get all your questions in. But yes, it's members sitting at the time that are able to vote. It's not the total board or the people sitting on the board. Since we don't have a 7-member board at this moment. But we had this a couple of years ago, probably about 7 or 8 years ago, we ran into this same. But the handbook is electronic, and kind of these questionable decisions, there's a lot of guidance because obviously people have, sometimes they run across these things. They're the common issues. So if anybody wants to have that, I bought it electronically. I don't really use the electronic, but they don't do the hard copy anymore. But Steve, I'm sure you purchased it. I think it was $15. But I think everybody has to have their own login. So it's an option if you guys want to take a look. Right, Steve?
Yeah, I think I have, I have the,
Maria had purchased one.
I think you
And
can
I
only
don't know-
log in at one time, so I can probably give everybody maybe the copy of the password and login. They want to utilize it.
Yeah, I don't know if that's exactly what their rules are, so I would just
Oh.
double check that, but one person can get it.
Okay.
So we just need to be careful on those kind of questionable decisions and voting, and if we should really talk about if we are to deny a project, we have to have a very, very good reason. So it needs to meet a threshold there. We would have to answer to that decision. So
oh, that's why I made sure we did that.
in this case in particular, so you had an existing order of conditions that we granted an extension on, and it was amendment to the existing order of conditions. So you would have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are negatively affecting the resource area.
Correct.
When we're filling, we're bridge crossing, we're culverting, we're filling wetlands in other projects. And we're doing a buffer zone encroachment on a project that was previously approved. So you have to have a very good reason why you agreed to permit something that is a fill and replicate, but in a buffer, your impacts are more severe than actual destruction and replication of a BBW or a bank.
I stand by the way I voted.
Yeah, I didn't watch the video, and everyone, that's why we're a board of the townspeople. But I'm just saying that there are statutory requirements for denial. So though you might want to take a look at what those reasons would be. And it would be, we would have to go to court and defend our positions.
Understood.
Okay, this is good to know for the future. Did anybody get back to Margaret and the applicant?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, he was emailing me.
Okay, thank you.
I went to town council. My confusion, because, I used to do planning board, but a long time ago, I always understood, my assumption was that we always had a 7-member board for years. And then when we went down to 3 or 5 or 6, it was always the amount, I always assumed it was the amount of commissioners that were seated at the time. So we had 6 members seated, not 7. So you need a majority of 6. If we had 5, 3 would have worked. Where the town council came in is it didn't matter if you had 5, 6, or 7, it's the quorum. You just needed the majority of the people that showed up at the meeting at the time, it seemed like. So because Tracy wasn't there, 3 was acceptable.
So there's 2 things going on. So one is what constitutes a quorum. The other one is what constitutes an approval, a passing vote, a passing approval vote. So that's just a little bit tricky also.
Yeah.
But Steve, you sent over, you circulated to everyone on the board that specific section of the handbook, right?
Yeah, I forwarded the town council's response too, so we're covered.
Okay. All right.
And too often, once in a bloom, once in 10 years, or something like that happens.
Just an understanding of we have to back up our no's if we feel as though a project will result in a negative impact to the resource areas. So the other thing, Steve.
Yeah, but Tracy, if we feel that it should be a no, then we should vote no and vote not. Obviously, we should be able to back that up with with our feelings, but
feeling's not good enough for the court.
No, when you have the denial.
Yeah, but you're saying that you have to prove or to show that, that the additional alteration wasn't impactful. Correct? Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm saying if you're voting no, let's just say the whole board, it carries as a no, we reject that amended order of conditions. We will have to write our denial of the order of conditions. We will have to write all of the things, the reasons why we're denying it, and they have to be accurate. So
right.
Would write a specific report for the denial, and that report needs to meet the thresholds of the statute, the Wetlands Protection Act. So we can't just feel, we have to use evidence, and the proof is all. You have to give very good reasons in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act.
Understood.
So I understand that there could be a time, yes, of course. So also, Steve, you wanted maybe a vote for, you need a new camera.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
So what are we talking about for this camera?
I don't know. Something that doesn't die in the middle of the woods. That'd be helpful.
I don't know anything about cameras, so.
Well, I mean, is that a function of the camera or the battery?
Batteries, it's batteries, so it's
They're
just
getting cold and they're shutting down your camera on you.
Oh, it's all. Well, especially I take a lot of video. I take a lot of video, and it's the video that drains
the batteries. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, and I usually carry some, but when I don't, it's. And I'm having a hard time transferring files, so it's been 3 or 4 years since I got one. I don't know how much they go for.
How old is the camera? Because we could just update that, and that might resolve most of your issues.
How old's what?
How old is the camera? How long?
Probably 3 years.
Yeah.
I don't know how much they are. $500, $600, $500.
So with a vote of no more than $500, would you be able to find something that the battery won't die and you can transfer the pictures easier?
Lithium, hopefully. Yeah.
What do you have now, Steve?
It's a Nikon. I don't have it. It was like a Nikon snapshot. It was one of those snapshots, you know. I don't need, usually just something that takes good videos, has a good stabilization.
I mean, you could always use that old one as a backup too,
Right.
just in case. Board, anybody have any opinion on that?
I feel like they might be more expensive than that.
All right.
And I'm trying to figure out what he had. So like what would be the like brand new equivalent to that camera and what that goes for.
Steve, how about you price them and get back to us in 2 weeks?
I'll do that. That's a good idea, Art.
Yeah, because I'm looking at Nikons and it really depends whether you have a DSLR or like a.
Oh, DSL. Yeah, I don't think I need anything that fancy. No.
Okay.
Yeah,
But a video, unless my video quality is not that great.
yeah, I mean, it's only 2 weeks away, so if you could maybe get us a couple ideas on an upgrade, and then we'll go from there.
All right.
Okay, board, anything else? We have enough fun? Yeah.
I got a question, just out of curiosity on this.
Yes.
A new camera? Where
Yes.
would the funds come from?
We have budget. We have our commission budget, I think.
Or Wetlands
Which-
Protection Fund.
Either that or you have the regular budget. I think there's, I'll see how much money's in there.
We're gonna pass the hat, Mike.
We all got to chip in.
Yeah.
I don't really care, but I was just curious where the funds are coming from.
Yeah, the
The
same
sa-
place as the last camera.
Yeah, the same place we were going to get him a computer from, a new laptop.
Ah,
I fixed it though.
Yeah,
That's right.
perfect.
So now we got more money than we would have had.
Right.
Yeah, they put a hard drive in or something, fixed it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved at 8:19.
Motion's been made.
second.
Second by Mike G. Roll call vote.
Art Monmouth, aye.
AG Dudley, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Eric Harris, aye.
Mark Munjamai.
Thank you very much, guys.